okay, we're starting to see those campaign ads. We're starting to hear them on the radio, and everybody's battling everybody else. There's a new survey that's out that I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about. It's called the Housing Availability and Policy in Ohio. Do you want politicians involved in creating policies regarding your home? That's a big question. The ability to find a home in your area is a factor that many of us really take for granted. Not all of us have this luxury, and there are specific ways that Ohio residents would like to see the government act to remedy this. And this is a statewide poll, so the state of Ohio is actually very diverse, all the way from Toledo to Columbus to Cincinnati and Cleveland, and then everywhere in between. So everybody's perception is a little bit different. So we need to consider that as well. So this is a statewide poll. The percentage of Ohio residents that say there is a housing shortage in their community. How many people do you think? Well, according to this study, 17%, only 17% think there's a housing shortage in their community. I would have thought that was much higher, quite honestly, especially in the more affordable price ranges. There really isn't a lot of inventory. So it's interesting how perception and reality don't always jive. That's what's happening here. So the question again, the percentage of Ohio residents saying that there is a housing shortage in their community, 59% say no, there isn't. 14% say they don't know, and 10% said, well, maybe. So I'm going to throw out the maybe and the don't know because, their opinion that's just kind of lukewarm, right? So that's really interesting. Ohio residents agree that Ohio housing policies need to be in place to help the middle class. So do you want government to be involved in housing? I personally don't. So again, I'm putting my little 2 cents in here as well. I don't think that the government should be involved as much as it is, because honestly, some of the rules and regulations make it more difficult for a lot of buyers to actually purchase a home. I've heard from some people who are self-employed who have a really, really hard time because to get a loan, and it's because of some of the new rules and regulations that have been in place for about the last year. So supposedly these rules and regulations are there to protect the buyer, but sometimes it hurts the buyer. So, there needs to be a little bit more balance, in my opinion. So, the percentage of residents who agree with the following statements. Ready? Reduce regulatory hurdles to new housing production. Only 36% say that the government should provide more support for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Interesting, right? So, strong home ownership is really critical to our economy. And we've seen this over and over and over again. In 2008, when the bubble burst and our economy really struggled because the housing market crashed. I first got into business in 2005, so I saw a couple of really good years and then I saw the crash. And it was interesting because I was just getting into the business and I had people getting 100% financing, and they wanted financing for furniture, and they're like, well, they were actually, people who were buying homes were getting money back at the table. And I had to turn, my head was like, what? How is that possible that you can buy a home, have no money down, you have no skin in the game whatsoever, and you're actually getting money back at closing, and then you wonder why those people lost those homes, because they weren't able to truly afford them. And a lot of that has been cleaned up, but now we've gone in the completely opposite direction where lenders and the policies are very, very strict. And some people think they're too strict. It really depends on which side of the fence that you're on. So interestingly, home ownership rates for young adults, those millennials and the people that are in the 35 age range, have increased over the last year, which is great news. There's always been a challenge, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, of people who are in that age range because they've had student debt and bad credit and things like that, and the low inventory in those lower price ranges. So something to think about if you are in the market to buy a home. Homeownership is still the American dream, and I'd like to help you find your American dream.